Okay, well, thanks for coming to today. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be able to do the presentation on DryLINK Pro, the breakthrough that will redefine restoration forever. And while that sounds like a lot, there's some really amazing technological advances that are making this possible. But it's not just from a technology standpoint, but from a financial and operational standpoint. And at the end of the day, this comes down to three outcomes, increasing revenue and margins, eliminating lost equipment, and being able to do more with the same team. So as we go through this, I'd like you to think about, where are your biggest opportunities? And I also want to make this presentation interactive, so I'll be using quick polls as we go throughout so you can see like how your peers are thinking about this as well. Okay. Across the industry, we continue to hear the same three pressures. There's margins are tighter than ever. There's plenty of work, at least usually, but it's harder to make money on each job. And second, equipment is constantly moving between trucks, jobs, warehouses. We put it in attics and crawl spaces, and that leads to lost or underutilized assets. And third, labor is tight. It's harder to find skilled workers and even harder to keep them. And these aren't separate problems. They're all connected. So I'll start with my first poll of the day because I don't want to get too far into this. I want to make sure it's relevant to you. So the poll that we're going to do first is what is your biggest challenge right now? And so let me get the polls activated here. Just one second. So the first poll shall launch, and we're going to do these kind of quickly. And you can see biggest challenge right now, is it increasing revenue or margin pressure? Is it finding and retaining skilled labor, lost or missing equipment, and then documentation or invoices cut? And, I'll let this go just for a minute. A lot of answers coming in here. That's great. We'll give it, let's say, 5 more seconds here. Get a few more answers in. All right. So we're going to end the poll and we'll see what everybody said. Okay. I'm going to share the results. And you can see we had 56 answers here. Pretty big split. Lost or missing equipment, 10%. Increasing revenue and margin pressure is a big one. And the documentation and invoices cut. And then labor's up there too. Okay. Appreciate everybody's responses there. So now, what you're seeing is exactly what we hear across the board. Revenue and margin pressures, lost equipment, and not enough technicians. And the key thing to understand is that these problems compound. When you don't have visibility, it creates more work, more risk, and more cost. Now, margins usually don't disappear in one big place. It leaks out everywhere. Unnecessary truck rolls. So think about it. You're going to the job every day. That's the current state. But that doesn't necessarily need to be the future state, and I'll explain it as we go along. Missing billable equipment when techs forget to write down all the units. That's not even intentional. They're not trying to do it. They just missed something and they didn't write it down. Not aligning with the IICRC equipment recommendations. This is a huge revenue leak. People just not even putting the right amount of equipment on the job. And the time it takes to take your daily readings, especially on large commercial jobs. And then invoices get reduced on top of that. Individually, these don't seem huge, but collectively, they have a major impact on your profitability. Okay, so a quick question for the group. How often are you seeing underbilling or invoice reductions? Even if it's small, if it happens regularly, we want to know about that because it's really impacting your bottom line. So we're going to do our second quick poll. So we'll go back here, get poll number 2 launched. And this shows how often do you feel your jobs are underbilled or reduced by insurance? Yeah, very often, sometimes, rarely, not sure. Results are coming in quick here. We'll keep this up for a little bit. I'd like to keep this moving along, so we'll give it 5 more seconds here. I'm getting a lot of good answers in here again. Okay, so we will close that poll, and we can see, I'm going to share the results. We have 52 responses there, and you can see very often and sometimes, by far leading the way, rarely and not sure, just a few. Okay, so again, that just shows what a problem, that is. Okay, the root cause here is process breakdown. Manual readings aren't always consistent, equipment usage isn't fully documented, data can be delayed or incomplete, and when that happens, people rely on memory instead of data. That's where revenue starts slipping. This is where DryLINK Pro changes the equation. With connected equipment, you get live feedback on equipment compliance. I'm going to show you that in a video, how that works. You eliminate missed equipment billing. You no longer can miss billing of equipment because in order to put it on the job, you have to do it in the app and connect to it. So you definitely will be billing for it. You reduce invoice pushback because you have verified data. And drying reports can now automatically build themselves. So build themselves as the job progresses. So instead of reconstructing the story later, the system documents it in real time. You can see the important breakthrough icon I've got here, and this icon I'm using throughout to point out where technology has come in and allowed us to really get some savings. So what I'm showing here is this global scheduled visits. Basically, you can tell the system to build all your jobs automatically. So when you set up the job, you take your first reading, and after that time, all readings are automatically recorded by the system. I'm going to use this important breakthrough icon throughout this presentation to point out the technology leaps forward that allow us to do this stuff. Okay, so here's the video. We're going to walk you through doing. So we'll go to dehumidification, and you can see our IICRC progress bar as we add dehumidifiers. We want to get enough dehumidification to turn it green, and we'll assign those. Then we move on down to the air movers, and again we have our IICRC progress bar, and it starts off red, and as we click more air movers, it turns orange and yellow and eventually green, meaning we have enough equipment, and we can assign that to the job. So you can see in that demonstration that, we know it's not just another system that calculates how much equipment you should have on the job. We know how much dehumidification is required, and we know the dehumidifier you're adding and how many pints it has. So we're making sure that the compliance is happening in real time. That's very different than just calculating how much equipment is needed. So, that's definitely an important part of it. Another huge opportunity is unnecessary site visits. If you can monitor jobs remotely and get alerts when needed and access data from anywhere, you can avoid trips that don't add value. That directly protects your margin. On smaller jobs, I would recommend going as infrequently as you can. All the way up to large commercial jobs, you're going to be there every day anyway. But think about it, on a large commercial job, even though you're going there every day so you don't save the trip, you have all this equipment on that job and the readings are taken automatically. So there's this huge labor savings potential just from the equipment readings. So if you think about, if you could save one visit per job, and you think about what are all the costs involved in that one visit, the labor of your team, whether the crew is 1 or 2 people, the drive time, the cost of gas, cost of insurance, are we paying overtime? Are we doing weekend checks? So these are all the things. So if you figure out the cost of saving one trip per job, and then multiply that by how many jobs you do a month, and that's the savings just from the unnecessary truck rolls. So I just wanted to, make sure we understand that. Also, if you look here, I'm showing this important breakthrough. If you'll notice, the way the DryLINK Pro system works is you have hubs, it's called a dry hub, built into every dehumidifier, and you can retrofit them on existing dehumidifiers. So your whole fleet, think of it that way. When you add it to a job, it automatically goes into this mode where it starts scanning for everything and it gets them all online. And here you have this green check mark. So this is going to tell you everything in that room that you added is online. So you know that you're good to go. So you're going to have consistent data that you can review from anywhere, and you're going to get alerts when anything happens that you need to know about. So this is an important breakthrough. Okay. Now this only works if the system performs in real conditions, right? So job sites aren't perfect. You got multiple floors, you got different kinds of structures and challenging environments. And DryLINK Pro is designed for that. The mesh networking, cross-structure connectivity, and no need for a separate gateway because they're basically all built into the dehumidifiers. And the equipment itself becomes part of the network. These are all important breakthroughs. It was just cumbersome to set up remote monitoring previously. This makes it easy. You used to have to bring gateways to the job site and stuff didn't connect. You didn't know how far the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi would go. So this is a huge breakthrough on this. Okay, on this slide, what I want to show you is how this would work on a commercial job, okay? So the blue, you can see I got a legend over here, like the blue line is showing that we have Bluetooth and long range radios. So Bluetooth, you're limited to, let's just say 30 feet or so. And then long range radios, you're getting 5 times the range. So we have Bluetooth and long range, and we're showing all this equipment, and the bottom 2 floors, we don't have internet access. So I want to show you how this works. So what happens is the first thing is I'm showing the Bluetooth or long range radios sending data to the hubs, which are on the dehumidifiers. Now the next step is the dehumidifiers on the bottom 2 floors are going to use their long range radios to be able to send information to dehumidifiers with hubs that then can get the information to the internet. And the last step is everybody that's connected to the internet is going to send their information to the cloud. So this is how we make large commercial jobs possible using DryLINK Pro. Okay, so what does this translate to? It translates to more billable equipment, fewer invoice reductions, less time driving and taking readings, and higher profit per job. That is the revenue story. So that's the first piece of this. Now let's shift to equipment visibility, because this isn't just a job site problem. It's across warehouses, trucks, service centers, anywhere your equipment can go. Without visibility across all of these, you lose control of your fleet. Equipment gets lost for predictable reasons. It's constantly moving. There's no real-time visibility. They're put in crawl spaces and attics. There's manual tracking that breaks down. And sometimes even the Bluetooth tags fail or the battery dies, so you can't see the equipment anymore. So this isn't just people. This is the system itself that is an issue. Okay, so that's going to bring me to ask this. How much equipment do you think you lose in a year? That is going to be our poll question number 3. So let me just, apologize. Let me get my poll number 3 up. Okay, so lost equipment. Apologize. I gotta stop sharing that last poll. Okay, poll number 3. Here we go. So the question is, how much equipment do you lose in a single year? And the question is none, 1 to 4%, 5 to 9%, 10% or more. Now what I can tell you is, if you answer none, then you don't need asset tracking. That's pretty obvious. Anything over 2% and the dry hubs will pay for the whole asset tracking just just because you're not losing equipment. So as we can see, it looks like 1 to 4% is getting the most responses, 5 to 9, 10%. We got a few with none. Everybody with none, I would say you probably don't need asset tracking. So I'm going to close the poll here. Got a lot of engagement there. Appreciate it. I'll share the results so you can see. 13% said none, 69% 1 to 4, 10% at 5 to 9, and 7% is 10 and over. Okay. Now we'll move on here. Okay, so most tracking systems depend on something else, which is a nearby device, a gateway, a person, something to read the tag. So that's how most of those work. They also require maintenance in that you have to change the batteries every 1 or 2 years. And then oftentimes you need a separate system for remote monitoring and another one for asset tracking. So this creates gaps. Now that brings me to another question. Whoops, that's not the right way. If you are using a tracking system today, what are the biggest limitations in that system? So that's going to be poll question number 4. I will, let's see, get that poll activated. Okay, so if you are using a tracking system today, what are its biggest limitations? Requires a gateway or app to track, so stuff goes missing. Battery issues, we're not tracking equipment correctly in the system, or if I'm not using a tracking system at all. Okay, a lot of good responses coming in again. Right now it looks like actually about a third of the people are not using asset tracking. So I'm going to end the poll here in just a couple seconds. Anyone wants to get in a last second answer? Okay, we'll close the poll and I'll share the results. So it looks like 37% not using asset tracking, 27% is not tracking correctly, and then battery issues and gateway problems. So that just shows you the different problems there. Okay, and we'll keep moving along. So here's the fundamental shift with DryLINK Pro. The dehumidifier itself becomes part of the tracking system. With DryHub, you have cellular and GPS built into the dehumidifiers. So it reports its own location. It works even when unplugged. So if somebody stole a dehumidifier, the thing would report on its own. And if they stole a dehumidifier and some air movers, it would scan the air movers and report the location of those as well. So you get this continuous visibility and eliminating dependency on a gateway or something to read it, because when it's lost, there isn't going to be a gateway there. Every dehumidifier will have onboard cellular, GPS, and mesh networking, and those are huge technological advancements in DryLINK Pro. Okay, and for the rest of your fleet, DryTag extends this visibility. So this is DryTag 2. You get long-range tracking, so that's those long-range radio, 5 times Bluetooth, up to a 10-year battery life, so we're never going to do any maintenance to the tag. You're going to have the ability to locate equipment with this tag. So now you're connecting your entire fleet, not just part of it. So the important breakthroughs, like I've mentioned here, the long-range tracking, the 10-year battery, and the way the locate works is there's an LED light on the tag, and there's also a sound chip. So you can make it chirp or you can make it flash. And that's a big help in trying to locate the equipment. But the 10-year battery life, I mean, that just eliminates the whole battery issue from the conversation. So the goal is one platform for everything. We're going to have this built into Phoenix equipment, all Phoenix equipment. This is compatible with any brand of equipment, and it's backwards compatible with DryLINK 1 devices. So that's a unified view, and that's where utilization improves. DryHubs built into Phoenix dehumidifiers will recharge themselves on every job, And that is a huge, important breakthrough. And that's what I'm showing here. Okay, so the result here is simple. You eliminate lost equipment. You know exactly where your assets are. You reduce replacement costs and rental costs, and you improve utilization. That's a direct impact to your bottom line. Okay, now let's talk about labor. There aren't enough really skilled technicians, and teams are stretched thin. Weekend monitoring is something that is going on all the time, and training of staff takes time. That puts pressure on your best people. So, how often is your team going back on weekends just to monitor jobs? This is one of the biggest hidden drains on productivity and morale. So this brings me to poll question number 5. So we'll pop this up. This is how often, let's see here. I just got to stop sharing another poll. I apologize. So poll question number 5 is, if I can get it to launch. There we go. How often are teams going back to jobs on the weekend for monitoring? Every weekend, most weekends, occasionally, rarely. And getting a lot of answers coming in. A pretty good split on things. So we'll let this go just a little bit longer, see what we get. Yeah, it's pretty split evenly. All right, we're going to end the poll if anybody has any last answers. And I'll share the results. You can see pretty good split here. We've got about, a third said rarely, but then, and 21%, so like half are occasionally or rarely, and about half are most or every weekend. So, I mean, that just shows you there's a variety of answers out there, and we have solutions for those. Okay, so we'll stop sharing that one and continue on. Okay, DryLINK Pro helps shift that. Remote monitoring reduces manual checks. Alerts tell you when action is needed. The app has a guided workflow to walk your techs through, and new techs can ramp faster, so you rely less on experience and more on process. The result is more jobs per technician, less weekend work, better work-life balance, and less burnout for the techs. And that's how you scale without adding additional headcount. Okay, got another poll. If you had that extra capacity, what would you do with it? More jobs, better service, less overtime? Whoops. What would you do with that? And that brings me to poll number 6, which I'll pop up. So there we go. If you had better visibility, and there are the choices, taking more jobs, reduce overtime, not sure, do other work. So see what people have to say. Plenty of answers coming in. We'll give it 5 more seconds. Looks like right now, reduce overtime and burnout. That's a big one, really. So I'm going to end the poll here. Any last minute entries? And I'll share. Okay, so here's what we got. 41%, if they had that extra capacity, would reduce overtime and burnout. That's what I thought would be the biggest answer. Take on more jobs, another important one, do other work, and not sure. So that's what we had for that poll. And keep going here. So this is the combined vision with DryLINK Pro. It's increase revenue, eliminate lost equipment, and do more with the same team. That's what happens when you address all 3 of these challenges together. Now, what makes this different is how everything does work together. Cellular and GPS on dehumidifiers, self-reporting equipment, mesh networking, long-range tracking devices, backwards compatibility. It removes the gaps that have always existed. These all make DryLINK Pro a breakthrough that really will change everything. The best next step is to make this specific to your business. And that's part of why, I didn't really get into the whole demo of how the software works. I haven't really gotten into pricing because I really wanted to focus on this is solving like real problems. Like this really can make your business more profitable. But we want, with that next step, we would want to walk you through a live demo, run the ROI calculator, and make it specific to your business. And then we can show you and identify savings. And we can also review your current processes and come up with all the opportunities that we see. That's where the real value becomes clear. And one thing I can tell you is, without having gone through over all the prices, everyone that we've done this with, this will pay for itself in 6 months. I'll be shocked if you do an ROI calculator with us and it doesn't pay for itself in 6 months. This is going to be included on all Phoenix equipment going forward. So watch for that. All the dehumidifiers, the new dehumidifiers will have a plus on them indicating that they have the dry hub built in. So it'll be the DryMax Plus, DryMax XL Pro Plus. With that, I do want to give you some special offers that we have. Right now, just so you know, we're beta testing this. We have 15 companies that we're working with, and we have stuff in the field. So don't think that, just because I didn't show you the software, we will when we do a demo. It's all built. But we are beta testing, and we're trying to, figure out if there's anything we need to improve. But in the meantime, if you move forward with a demo and you decide to pre-order, we can save you 10% when you pre-order any qualified. It says qualified equipment. I just want to be clear on this. This is for DryLINK devices. Any equipment has to go through distributors. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about DryLINK devices that you retrofit on your equipment. So there's that. Any pre-order by July 31st, 2026. Then new DryLINK Pro customers, and this will be continuing on. When you sign up for DryLINK Pro and activate it, you have 3 months time, and in that 3 months, if you buy one of our dehumidifiers, the DryMax Plus or the XL Pro Plus, you're going to get 6 months of free DryLINK All Access subscription, plus 6 months of cellular data on that dehumidifier. So that exists and will exist for new DryLINK Pro customers. Now, you can only do that 6 months of subscription thing once, right? You can't do it more than once. But the dehumidifiers, whenever you buy them, the new ones, you're going to get 6 months of free data on those dehumidifiers. Now, all customers, whether new or not, that's what I was just talking about. You get the 6 months of the cellular data. With that, I'm going to put up this QR code, and I'm going to answer questions. This is if you want to request a demo. I'm also going to drop I'm going to open up the chat. Oh, I see there's a bunch of questions in here. I'm happy to answer questions. And I'm going to put in the chat the link to request a demo if anybody's interested. And let's see. So I'm going to just start going through the questions here. Let's see. I apologize. Were people getting a bad echo? I guess, you can't really respond. I apologize if that's been happening. Let's see, closer to 20. When you say any dehumidifier, are you referring to possibly other brands if they have a mix of equipment? Absolutely, I'm saying that. If you can put a dry hub on any dehumidifier you want. You can actually put it on anything you want. It's a device, it's a standalone device, and it's meant to go. We're going to have a guide that shows you where to mount it. One of the main places is inside the outlet grill, and we've obviously tested airflow and all that. So there's many ways to bring existing equipment into it. Can you send the recording? Yes, I will send out the recording to everybody. TPA will not pay for remote monitoring. Here, I want to answer this question. Okay, the customers I have that are doing DryLINK, they bill for monitoring. Some days they do it in person. Some days they do it remotely. This is all a discussion with the different groups about the codes in Xactimate that are older codes for a previous attempt at remote monitoring. So right now, the people that I know that are doing it, they bill for monitoring, and you can't do both. You bill for monitoring, you either go on site or you do it remotely. So that's what people are doing. What is the pricing? Again, I did address that. The pricing, happy to go over that with you. There's nothing to hide. It's just that it's an individualized thing. We'd have to understand your whole company, and it's all volume pricing and everything. If you have one unit, a hub on a job, will it communicate the same with older Bluetooth enabled units? Absolutely. Or is it updating to the new tags? No, it works with all of this works with our older smart dehumidifiers, our new smart dehumidifiers, DryLINK 1 devices. It works with all of that. Uh, uh, so you don't have to update that stuff. Uh, let's see, was the prongs shown in the figure showing the commercial loss with the cell and Bluetooth run? Yeah, that example was showing data flowing and how it would flow out of a commercial job. Um, okay, let's see. We'll keep going here. I did not get an echo. Okay, glad to hear that. Excellent. Even with the remote monitoring, um, I'm not sure what that was referring to. Even with the remote monitoring. Cellular data costs and per dehumidifier. Who is the cellular provider? So these are, again, if you want to book a demo with us, we'll go over that. They're multi use SIMs. I forget what the name of it is, where they'll connect to different towers. The cellular data costs. I definitely want to talk to you about that, but I think you're going to see it all clearly when we do a demo and what the advantages are and what the costs are. Um, are there limitations outside the US? Oh, I wish I would have said this earlier. All of this stuff works in Canada. So our first version, our dry phone didn't work in Canada, and that was a big pain. All of this works in Canada. So no need to worry about that. So the monitoring of the dehumidifiers would definitely be beneficial to gather the atmospheric readings. But what would a tech still not have to go on site to gather the material readings? We have material, we have leave behind moisture content sensors. So the goal is you're not going to the job. You're getting all of your readings. You're getting your moisture content, you're getting your affected area, unaffected area, you get HVAC if you need it. We have all of that. Okay. Can you use asset tracking and remote monitoring with another brand? Absolutely you can. You can retrofit this into any brand you want. You don't have to buy any Phoenix equipment. What about dry phones? The dry phone is basically replaced by the dry hub. The purpose of the dry phone was to be like a gateway, but now we're putting those on every dehumidifier. Now you got cellular tracking on your dehumidifiers, and they're basically all like gateways. And we only charge by the data that flows in a job. We don't charge by the hub. So buying one hub for 5 dehumidifiers versus buying 5 hubs, the data is still the same. We charge the same. So you're not saving money by just buying one hub. And any plans for upgrades to the DryLink phones? The dry the upgrade to the DryLink phone is to move to DryLink Pro. That's really what we're doing. That's the whole thing. And we can talk to you about it. And any original DryLink owners, we will talk to you individually about how to move you up to DryLink Pro if you're interested. And we'll obviously want to, help with whatever you need there. I'm a distributor. Will I be able to get a demo for our rep Joe or someone to explain it better? Yes, we can absolutely do a demo for distributors. Does it work with air movers and Phoenix dry phone? Okay, air movers, like you can put our dry tag on anything you want. You can put it on ladders, you can put it on extension cords. People do it. And the dry phone is again basically being replaced by dry hub. And anybody that has dry phones that wants to talk to us about how the new system works, we're obviously going to help you. We'll make it right to move you to dry hubs. Clarifying question, how does moisture content monitoring work? So it's an invasive sensor. So you're going to put 2 screws into the material. Typically, this is what I tell people. I would make kits, I would have 4 sensors for each job. That allows me to have two for two different affected areas. That's just what I tell people. You could have more or less. And then I find the wettest spot in those affected areas. I put the screws in, so it typically like sill plate dry. So you're going to use your infrared camera, find the wettest spot. Likely the sill plate is one of the last places to dry, and you'll get, as you do this, you'll probably get better at it. You take off the baseboard, screw into the sill plate, and monitor that way. So definitely moisture content. And by the way, I just want to point out, I believe that leave behind moisture content sensors and getting information way more rapidly than one day, once a day. Now you're getting readings once an hour or more. You can make it more frequent. And this is your justification for your dehumidifiers remaining on the job, right? Because you're trying to keep the vapor pressure as low as it can so that you're getting the moisture out of the materials. So if the materials are still wet, you still need dehumidification. What about current DryLINK users with DryTag? Will there be okay, so original DryTag works with this system, by the way, so you don't have to upgrade it. Now, we could talk to you about it if you want the new tag because you like the 10-year battery, you like the LED light, you like the, sound chip and all that kind of stuff, a long range radio. We can talk to you, but the original dry tag works with this system. Actual material readings. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the moisture content sensors. So that's DrySense 2 is what that's going to be. Price. Again, price is like we have a whole volume. There's like 5 tiers of volume pricing. So it is custom kind of to everybody. And we, like I said, if this doesn't pay back, when we go through the ROI calculator, if it doesn't pay back in 6 months, I'd be shocked. And then you have savings from then on. If I buy this, what should I do with my old dry phones? Well, we'll be able to recycle those phones, but we want to help you move from your old system to your new system. So contact us and we'll talk about it. Are the DEHUs gas or electric? I they're clearly electric. Maybe you're saying like I don't know. You're talking about desiccant dehumidifiers. I'm not sure. But the dehumidifiers I'm talking about are the DryMax and the DryMax XL Pro. Put the link to DryLINK products in the chat and state it's called the DrySense. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I will put that in the chat before I'm done here. I guess let's see. If you're taking readings with other moisture meters, can you input the initial readings or edit the dry log information to show? Yes, you can do it. We have a way you can do initial readings. You can also, we have all the meters from the different companies in the app. So you pick what meter you're using if you're not using ours. Now you have to manually input them, but you can use them. Please make sure we hear the question before you start answering. That's a great point. I'll do better with that next time. Okay, so that's all the questions that I saw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send out a follow-up email so you don't have to worry about the chat because the webinar is going to be closing here. I'm going to send out a follow-up email. Definitely put information about the DrySense and links to other products so you can see what's going on. But the best way to get more information is to request a demo. All we're going to do is show you the products and we're going to show you the prices and we're going to walk you through the ROI calculator and we'll see what you think. Will new tags help? Yes, it definitely will. This question is about, will the new tags help reduce Bluetooth congestion, slowing down the app in areas where bulk equipment is stored? Yes, the way we handle Bluetooth requests in the new app is completely different and will definitely help with that, is the answer to that. Okay, so if there's no further questions, we can end the webinar. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you want to. I'll put my email address in the chat if you have any further questions. And I will send out the recording so people can view it if they didn't get a chance. And I want to thank everybody for attending the webinar. And we look forward to working with you in the near future. And this is amazing technology. It is literally amazing. So I think, it's definitely worth looking into. For sure, the people that implement this kind of stuff, you saw what all the savings can be. The more profitable companies are definitely going to go this way. Okay, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.